What is happening, everyone? Welcome to GBALL Vision. Today we are going to see if we can start a premium EDC with $400. Now, that might sound like a lot of money, but you can spend 3/4 of that or 2/3 of that money on just a knife easily, and not have anything left over. But with as much value that is in the market nowadays, you can still get a premium EDC, something that you can be proud of to have, that's going to last you and be very resilient against everyday occurrences. It can be done, and we are digging in today to find out what we come up with. So around every EDC has to be one thing, and that one thing has to be a bladed object, a bladed tool, whether that's a folding knife or a fixed blade knife, either one, but the utility is going to revolve around your cutting tool. They are very useful in more ways than one. And the Kaiser drop bear here is, I think, at the price point we're aiming for, which was 100 to 120. And what could you get with that? And the options are fairly vast, but to get the most out of your money, where would I go? And I thought about this, pondered on it for a while, wondered if I should increase the amount that I would spend on my knife, and so on and so forth. So I landed on 120 because I felt like that's where I could get myself a pretty premium knife and still maintain that decent price point, right? So with the drop bear here, you're getting 154 cm steel, which is going to be one of the most well-rounded steels on the market to this day. It's a very old knife steel. It's been around for a long time, and it will never go anywhere. It's a very good EDC steel, and it's also a very good steel under work type conditions as well. It's going to hold a good edge. It's going to be tough stuff, and it's going to have a good amount of corrosion resistance too. I've never had a single issue with 154 cm starting to pit. I've never had any weak, soft 154, and it all has seemed to hold a very good edge. I have dozens of knives in 154 cm. So I love it. It's one of the most well-rounded steels that you can get, especially in this price range. This is also featuring aluminum handles, which is awesome because they're going to look very good, very aesthetically pleasing. They're going to be very tough, rigid, and they're also going to be very comfortable because of the way they can machine these knives. The chamfered edges, the softened edges, extremely comfortable in hand. This knife is a good usable size too. It's not too big, not too small, 7 inches roughly overall. So that's a great size for an everyday carry knife. And you're going to have a two-way pocket clip, left or right hand carry. It's going to be tip up only, which is just fine. And so that opens up the doors for lefties to be able to carry this, and they're going to be able to use this just as well as a righty can because of the dual thumb studs and the crossbar lock. I switched my studs on this. They used to be all satin, I think. Yeah, they were all satin, and I changed because I have the drop bear, so I did the same thing. But anyway, I have the Escort, so I switched them there to kind of be twinsies. Anyway, between the studs, the reversible pocket clip, and the Kaiser clutch lock, which is their version of a crossbar lock, which is also adjustable. It's going to be very left-hand friendly. So you're getting a very versatile knife, you're getting a very tough knife, and you're also getting one that is going to hold up at a good price and look good while maintaining all those things. And it comes in a couple different versions and flavors, but this one in particular is 120. I'll link it down below. Keeps us in a good area and gives us a huge bang for our buck. And we're going to do more videos like this. So, don't think this is the only knife around this price I'd go with, but I think it's a fantastic option to go with. Let's get to the next item. The next thing, aside from your bladed object, which we'll leave right here, you need some sort of light item, something that can provide you light when everything around you cannot, or power's out, it's dark in a room, what have you. You need a flashlight, and you don't realize how useful they are until you start carrying them on your persons. It's just nice. And in this instance, you are maintaining a premium flashlight. This is the Raylight LAN in titanium, and I found these as cheap as around $70 up to $100, but you can go a little past that with different things that they do to customize these. But you can get an aluminum version or a non-titanium version around like the $70-ish mark. The titanium version is going to give you about a $90 value right there, about $80 to $90 for this. So with these two items, you're at around $210-ish, and that leaves us a little bit of breathing room for our next couple of light items. And this has one of the best bulbs on a flashlight that I've seen. For the money, it's a fantastic light. Couple different modes, four different modes. Nice soft push button, good pocket clip, great light. Raylight makes great flashlights, and they're usually at a reasonable cost as well. Let's go ahead and we'll get to the next item. Next up is going to be even more function, right? And this carry could easily go in different directions. Not everyone has a need for a multi-tool, but in this sense, we're sticking with this side of things for this video, and a multi-tool will be in this sequence of events here. So we have the Leatherman Skeletal, USA made, which is a good thing. You do have a pair of pliers here. You're also going to be getting a nice bit driver here that you can store a secondary Leatherman bit in the handle here. So you have technically, are these double side? I think you can get, oh, they are. So theoretically 4 bits, but 4 drivers, 2 bits basically. The pliers, you're getting a carabiner / bottle opener there, and your second blade used or in conjunction with your main carry. You will have this secondary edge to get into or do things that you might not want to do with your primary carry, or you're getting into some real nasty stuff, could be covered in blood or guts or dirt or mud or whatever. And you might not want to subject your main pocket knife to that. This is a great option for instances like those. Has serrations if you get into twine or rope or anything like that. Serrations are great for that. And it locks by this liner here. So you have some semblance of, some safety there. Because there's definitely multi-tools out there where they're non-locking. So not a ton of utility like some multi-tools, but a pair of pliers, a secondary blade, and a bit driver, that's some capability right there, coming in around $75 to $80. 70 to 80, I found them. And there's other versions where you can spend a lot more than that on them. But let's just call it 75. So that's 120. We'll say 90. So that's 210. And then 285. So that leaves us a little bit of money left over for the next item. So we're going to go with, in this instance, we're going to go with a multi-functional flat bar bit driver combo. And in this instance, we're going with the Vero Fulcrum, a fantastic pry bar and bit driver. And the reason that is not only because it's machined almost to perfection, it's a great length too. It's one of your more longer pry bars, but it's got such a nice profile. It's not too thin, but it's thin. It's very well executed. There's no extra BS on this pry bar. You have the pry bar and you have the bit driver, and it houses 2 bits. You can get the double headed versions and have 4. In this case, I went with a 6 and an 8. I plan on getting a double-sided 6 and 8 and putting that in here, and then putting a T10 over here. That way I can cover all of my knives. But in this instance, with that T8, it comes with a 6, 8, and 10 and some other bits, but I went with 6 and 8 because those are very, very, very common in maintenance, the maintenance world of your knife and multi-tools. So with this, not only do I have the prying function, but I can maintain my knife. If I need to tighten some body screws, the clip's coming loose and I need to tighten that up. The pivot is working itself loose and the blade is getting a little wiggly, getting a little loose. You can tighten that up. You can tighten your whole knife up. Anything that this knife would need, you can tighten up with this guy, thumb studs, all that stuff. Then you can maintain your multi-tool. So not only does this item allow you to maintain 2 other pieces of your kit, but it has a great feature in the pry bar, which you could potentially use as a flathead depending on the head of the flathead. And you could come up with other uses for this, scraping, not just prying, other uses. So something like that is definitely useful. And you might even be able to cut tape with that, like if it's a package or what have you. But I think for the budget that was set, this is one hell of an EDC right here. You got a nice knife, nice materials, good looking, gonna hold up forever, pretty much. Gonna hold up forever. Great titanium flashlight from Raylight. These 2 items together are spectacular, and then you combine that with the function of pliers, a more Phillips head, flathead derived driver here with an extra blade, and function of another driver housing different bits, the micro bits, micro Torx bits. So, you know, if push comes to shove, if you can't find Leatherman bits somewhere, you should be able to hopefully find some micro Torx bits. And then the flat bar there. So you got a nice premium carry, all for under $400. These, I don't think I said, in base model titanium version, $90 ish. So 120, 90, that's 210, 75, that's 285, and let's just call it, we'll just call it 100. That's 385. You're under by $15. You know, you can go get yourself a Maxpedition pouch or something of that nature. Something a little smaller than this right here. You know, you could get something like that to house all the stuff. But I think that's a pretty sweet carry. We could have upped the ante another $10 to $15 on this guy, on the knife. But I think this was a good choice. Let me know down in the comments what you think of these 4 items at the $400 max limit for this video. We're going to do more, like I said, guys. I think this is fun, coming up with different items and what the items consist of. Let me know what you think of this, guys. Give me a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel or you're here and you're not subscribed but you're always watching, hit that subscribe button down below the video. I would love to have you here. Otherwise, I will catch you on the next one.